Well, hello. Today I'm going to cover buyer advisory. Um, I would actually say that this is a buyer seller advisory because of some of the information that they have on here is very useful and it could be beneficial to a seller as well. So, usually, when I am speaking with a potential seller, I will actually include this because it does, as you can see when we go through it, it does have some good information and links to a lot of state and federal agencies. So it's a good resource. Here, the first page, we have basically the disclosure saying that us as real estate agents play a vital role to the purchase, and I'm going to add seller of sell of real estate property. Um, we help with locating properties, negotiating, finding the value of your home, and advising basically. We are not general contractors. We are not specifically specialized in a certain area, so we are not qualified to discover defects or evaluate physical conditions of the property. So obviously, if we go and see a house and we see that there are stains on the in the ceiling, or we see flickering lights or something that is totally obvious, then yeah, I'm going to point it out and say, you know what? During a home inspection, the home inspector, we should really have them look at those items right off the bat. Also, we're going to take a look at the seller disclosure statement. The seller disclosure statement is a form that the seller is required um, he's required but not obligated to provide, and it's basically giving everything he knows about the property. If there's any remodels, repairs, if it's in a flood zone, anything that he knows about the property, um, disclose. But once again, it really comes down to it's your interest to buy this home, to do your investigation, to see um, if there's any other defects that maybe the seller is not aware of, and that has happened, or they don't feel like it's a problem because they've lived with that problem for 20 years. To them, it's a natural or a normal situation in the home. So, um, boils down to basically you'll need to do your own due diligence on the home. Reminder: the advisory is a supplement for obtaining professional property inspections. Again, I cannot emphasize enough. It's I will never tell one of my buyers to not do a home inspection. Even if you do a home inspection and at the point you're like, it's too much, I'm going to back out, or it's like, there's a lot more that I didn't realize was wrong with this house, but I still want to move forward. At least you know now. So let's go here. Section 1. These are things that, as we go through the process of buying the home, they'll actually come up. Obviously, the purchase contract, the MLS is, you'll see that when you're actually looking for homes online, and I send you the link with all the data of the home. That is an MLS printout. The seller disclosure statement is the form that I was talking about that the seller is required to provide to the buyer. CCNRs, if the home is in a HOA, then the CCNRs will be provided from the title company. So all of these will go, they'll actually go in stages because obviously the first thing is the purchase contract and getting the offer accepted, and then it'll trigger all of these other documents, which I will actually go through in another video. Section 2, common physical conditions of the properties, repairs, remodels, square footage, roofing, um, pests, endangered, threatened species, death and felonies. All of those things are things that you may or may not think that are important, but they are a reminder. If they are, have it investigated, have inspected, do your due diligence. Section 3, conditions affecting the area or surrounding the property. And a lot of people don't actually think about this. And when I actually represent a buyer, I have them go in the evening or on a weekend, because usually we're showing houses during the day or early evening, and things are different. Monday through Friday varies from Saturday and Sunday. So I always tell somebody, if you're interested in this home, once we get into contract, go back out in the evening and take a look at a neighborhood to see what it looks like in the evening. So you can, and you other things that are of interest here are super fun sites, which are sites that have contaminated um, sites for improper disposal of chemicals. Schools, military, obviously the West Valley, we are close to Luke Air Force Base, so there is the fly zone patterns that we need to provide buyers at the time, to let them know that the flight pattern for Luke Air Force Base might affect, the area of this house. Methods of getting information about the property. Again, drive the neighborhood, talk to the neighbors, investigate your surroundings. Resources, market condition advisory. It's a form that basically says that, hey, the homes can increase or decrease in value. There's certain things that can increase and decrease the values. So it's an advisory that will be given to you as part of the purchase contract. Fair housing, additional information about government sites and agencies. So, like I said, this document is, I think, 8 pages. How many pages is it? Oh, we're on 11, 13 pages. And you literally could spend hours. I know because I have. It's going down a rabbit hole. You're like, oh, I didn't know this site existed. So you go through it. I did anyways. Here, purchase contract, we've already gone through that. Contingencies and waivers that may or not apply. Seller disclosure statement, that is something that is provided by the seller. The MLS printout is technically when I send you the link and you look at the house with all the information, that's the MLS information. It doesn't become a printout until we actually print it out, but all that information is online. CCNRs, if the home is part of an HOA, those will be given to you, provided to you, so you can look those over. Subdivision disclosures, public reports, those are usually given to you if you buy a new build or a home that is part of a new subdivision. Those tend to be given out at that time. HOA, title report and or title commitment are given to you once escrow is opened and the process is getting started. It's given to you through the title company, and those will actually give you informations of here it says encumbrance, easements, liens against the properties. So it's basically they go in and research, is there any liens? Is there any tax liens? Is there any easements that might affect the property? Usually in a subdivision, it's pretty clear cut. But when it comes to like subdivisions out in Buckeye or Tonopah, there might be utility easements that, even though you have 5 acres, they might require you to have like 40 feet for utilities that may or may not even be used in the future. HA disclosures again. Loan information and documents will be given to you by your loan officer. CFD funds, this is a special tax that uses bonds for the purpose of financing constructions, and that we see that a lot. We did out in Buckeye. Buckeye had a CFD fund back in the early 2000s. Some of the houses still have that CFD fund. Alomar out in Avondale does have a CFD fund, and there's other subdivisions here. Home warranty policies. If you decide to go with a home warranty, the policies vary from company to company. So I'll provide you information on that once you decide what well, I'll send you a few, and then you can choose, and then you can figure out what the policies cover or not. Affidavit of disclosure, that is for land, vacant land specifically, and it's basically a notarized form that is filled out by the seller, given over to the buyer at the time of purchasing land. Lead-based paint disclosures will be given to you if the home was built prior to 1978, and you're buying a house. It'll give you disclosure to what to look for on lead-based paint. The home inspection, professional home inspection report. The inspectors that I use, their inspection reports look pretty similar. They probably have something that's like a site that probably is very similar to all of them, but it basically goes in and they go through stages like to look at the exterior of the home, the windows, the roofing, the electrical, the plumbing, the windows, the closets, and any defects. Their job is to find even cosmetic defects on the home. Termites, um, inspection is usually done at the same time that the home inspection. Okay, so when a termite inspection is done, um, they send you the form, and either it passes, or if they find evidence of termites, then they'll go ahead and show on the form where they found the termites, and usually they end up sending a quote of what that repair would look like. They also not only look for termites, but they'll look to see if there's any water damage, earth to wood contact for wood. So it's not just for termites. They actually look for other items as well. The Foreign Investment Act is for foreign investors that purchased and now are selling. They might be, they'll have an extra tax because they are foreigners, so they are held to a higher tax upon selling their property. But I'm not an accountant, so if you are a foreign investor looking to sell, that would be a tax advisor CPA question. County assessors and tax records. There is a site here, websites. There should be anywhere, or there was, for different counties through Arizona, Maricopa, Pinal, Navajo, Coconino. You can go directly to their websites and get that information. Repair, remodeling, and new construction. The seller may have made repairs or added a room. The buyer should feel comfortable that the work was done properly. And once again, boils back down to your home inspection. And here it'll say a license contract is required for work that is performed unless it's less than $1,000. But once again, if a homeowner has lived in the home for 20 years and they have done all of their repairs or add-ons, they might not necessarily have that information anymore. Roofs, swimming pools, spas, and septics. I know that the roofing inspection is done directly through the home inspector, but here it gives you some information. If you want to go to the Arizona Register of Contractors, they can give you more information on that. Pools, same things. There are rules that you have to have for safety features on pools. Septic and other on-site water treatment facilities. Basically, there's another disclosure that is given upon you going into contract if the home it does have a septic. The home inspector will not inspect the septic. That the actual person that is coming out and pumping the septic before it transfers into the new buyer's owner's name is the one that comes out. And they, once again, it's a form, a state form. They come out there, they look at it, they drain it. They basically take all the waste that's currently there, and then they inspect it and pass or fail it. And that actually has to be done. That is a sum that has to be done it says here, a qualified inspector must inspect any such facility within 6 months prior to transferring ownership. So that's not a non-negotiable. It has to be done before it transfers title. Square footage. Um, the information that is on the MLS is piggybacks off of county assessor's office. So on there, it usually says county assessor square footage is 1,500 square feet. But every once in a while, it does give us the option to change it to say that it was the builder, or especially like a new build, or the owner can say, you know what, I had the house remeasured and it is 1,510 square feet. And some people will actually want you to put that on there. So if it's that important, you can hire somebody to do it. I know that the appraisers will come out, but if that's not enough, you can have an architect come back out and take a look at that. Sewer, if we're in city limits, usually the sewer is a city facility, City of Phoenix, Peoria, Goodyear, Avondale, all those areas. And how you know it's connected, if it's able to provide city water, sewer, it's connected. But once again, a plumber can actually investigate that, or even the home inspector will be able to say, yeah, this is the city. Well water issues, wells in general, also I recommend having inspected. Depending on the loan program that you're getting, FHA, VA will require well water testing to actually make sure that the water is of good quality, because I know there's areas around the valley that have poor water quality. So at that point, Mm, I've never had that situation where it's come back as not drinkable. So, but at least you want to know, is it drinkable, not older drinkable? And that's something that you could have inspected as well. Previous fires or floods, that's something that the seller needs to disclose. Fire, if there was a fire in the home and they didn't disclose it, usually when you go and try to get homeowners insurance, the seller will provide, again, a disclosure. It's called a loss history report, saying if they've had any claims towards their homeowners insurance in the last 7 years. If it's been more than 7 years, then at that point, usually the inspector will be able to tell if they're up there in the attic looking at trusses and say, hey, these trusses look pretty new. Let's see, pests. Once again, the termite person will come out and will look. And obviously, if they see that there's termites, they'll call it out. But if they see that there's bed bugs, any good, reputable pest company will hopefully call that out as well. Soil problems really depends on what part of the state you're in. Up north, though, like in the Flagstaff Parks area, which I sell up there quite often, and over there it's very clayey. And why people think that could be a problem is because then we run into septic issues. If somebody is buying a piece of land and it has a lot of clay on it, the septic could be a different type of septic system, which could be more. For instance, an alternative septic system can run you a lot of money versus a conventional system, which is a standard like here, because the dirt here is very, I guess it drains well. But once again, you can have that done by having a perk test done on the property if it's something that you're looking at doing in the future. Um, Endangered or threatened species, I do not know um, of, I've never run into that situation, but there's a website here that can cover all that. Drywall, um, radon, drug labs. If there's been a drug lab in in the property that you're looking at, hopefully the seller has fixed it, because the fumes and all of that could be pretty bad. Death or felonies. Arizona law states the seller and real estate agent have no liability for failure to disclose to a buyer which this question actually is more common. There are people that are like, has there been a death in the home? The seller is not obligated to disclose that if they don't want to. You can ask, but they don't have to disclose. That's really your job to discover that or not. And if it's that big of a deal, don't buy the house. Indoor environmental concerns, mold probably would be the biggest thing because it causes respiratory issues. Visible water stains would be one of the things that would trigger, I would say, an indoor concern. Properties and boundaries. This is probably something that is also very common, especially when we're looking to purchase something out in the rural or something that has lots of land, because sometimes people start, especially out in Tonopah or Buckeye or Whitman, places that aren't very populated. People will buy an acre, and then they'll go out and they'll fence it, but they might have taken an extra 3 feet. So I really recommend that if you're buying land, hire a surveyor, and they can go out there for a few $100 and put little pins at the perimeter where your property starts starts and finishes. Flood and flood insurance. Same thing, there are flood maps that you can see. If you are thinking that, hey, this home might be in a flood zone, and actually out towards the Levine area, there's a lot of areas that are subdivisions that are in flood zones. So you would never think that being in the city, but it's something that we don't think about because once again, we're in Arizona. I'm talking about like the valley area. And I'm actually Flagstaff also has areas that, due to the fires up in the mountains, have caused certain areas now to be considered a flood zone because there's nothing up on the mountains that is retaining that water, and it just comes right down. And here, number 16 is the insurance claims report. That's something when I touched base earlier. That's the seller is required to get a loss history report, seeing if there's been any claims on the property. Cooling and heating, that'll be done through your home inspection, but here's some resources here as well. And I think we're coming down to the end here. Oh, no, environmentally sensitive land ordinance. This one was a new one for me. 2/3 of the city of Scottsdale basically wants their area to look natural desert, so open space. So Scottsdale actually has a website there that you can look at. And then sex offenders, um, that is not something that is disclosed by the sellers as well. If you're interested in finding out if your neighborhood has tons of sex offenders, which was very eye-opening to me, that's the website for there. Magnetic, electric, and magnetic fields. I've never heard of that here as well. I've never run into that personally, so there is a website for that. And forested areas. Um, there's forest, not technically forests here, but they have like the Hacienda riverbeds, which have lots of, could be fires and stuff that could be near your home. And then you have up north with the junipers and the pine trees. Super fun site, we touched on that earlier. Military, we've touched on that. Luke Air Force Base is in the West Valley. We have the airport, the big airport, downtown Phoenix area. Goodyear, Mesa. So all of that will be disclosed if you're needing to know flight patterns, if that's the area that you're looking to purchase. Crime statistics, and then highway construction and traffic conditions. Those are all ADOT, and then the other one is the community crime maps, which is very interesting as well. Planning and zoning, if there's something that you're wanting to do, let's say you're looking to do a fixer-upper and there's something that you're wanting to possibly do, Real estate agents will not know. You will need to call planning and zoning either for the city that you're looking at or the county. So if it's out in Tonopah or Whitman or Santan Valley, then it may not be a city planning and zoning department. You'll actually go directly to the county and they'll be able to help you with your questions on building or planning and zoning. And then here are the city profile reports, which has a lot of good information. And then schools, if you're looking at putting your kid in a specific school, this will give you the maps. Let's say you want to be in the Peoria or the Litchfield, or you want your kid to go to Millennial High School. This will tell you what subdivisions and whatnot pertain to that specific school. Drive around your neighborhood, investigate your surroundings, talk to your neighbors. You will, I'm never surprised. A neighbor will be a millionth. They're like very, 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 very helpful. They will give you all the information, even information that you probably don't want to know about. Most neighbors will spill the beans. Condition and market advisory, we touched on that. Wire fraud, I do have a video on that. Basically, be very cautious. Online scam is on a rise, so be very careful on giving personal information, bank account, credit card numbers via phone. Additional information, National Association of Realtors, 10 steps buying a home, home closing 101, fair housing. So, like I said, this information, it's 13 pages and it is a ton of information, not just for buyers, but for sellers as well. So, like, I will give this to my sellers as well, just because it has so much information on here that is beneficial for both parties. So, hopefully, this clarifies and goes over it. If you have any questions and it's something that's not on here, ask your real estate agent. They'll be able to provide the source. My broker, back when I first started, told me, provide the source, don't be the source, just because my information that I have may be incorrect or I just misunderstood. So I'll be more than happy to provide you the sources of the information that you're looking for. This is Ellie with my home group, and I hope you have a good day.